Anatomy is a 2016 short experimentation horror game created by Kitty Horror Show. It is only available on itch.io. If you don't know what itch.io is, it is in a similar vein to Steam or GOG. It is a platform for indie developers to release games on there. There's a lot of experimentational stuff on there. There's lots of just one levels or people's ideas out there. So it's more of a case of kind of show and tell. This is the idea I have. It may be short, but I may want to put it on Steam later, down the line, but people want to try and get feedback. Or sometimes just people just put out their full games on there because itch.io doesn't really take that much of a cut, if any, compared to Steam or Epic Games. Anatomy has been on my list for about a year and a half. This is why it's a 2016 game. We're in quarantine. I've decided to look through a backlog of games that I missed out on. And I heard a lot of things about this game. And I heard a lot of people saying they didn't want to talk about it because it's very short. You don't want to spoil too much. I'm not going to go into any spoilers, of course. I don't really do spoilers in my reviews unless it's a spoiler-filled review, which I mentioned in the title. But Anatomy is around about a 45-minute game. It is a psychological horror experience where you get plopped into a house and you are looking around the house. It is just a normal, very, very low, intentionally low graphics looking house. It's something out of a PS2, maybe even PS1 era, most likely PS1 era kind of style of graphics. And the thing that fascinates me about the horror genre, especially when it comes to graphics, is that there's this surge of especially new talent and new developers who are exploring this type of horror in this kind of setting where it's not about the graphics. It's not about how realistic it looks. It's not about, oh God, this monster's here and it looks really frightening and terrifying. It's nothing like that. It's nothing to do with how it looks. And it's more focused on how it makes you feel. Anatomy is a short but terrifying experience. Kitty Horror Show, the developer of these games, has pretty much made about, I'd say about 9 or 10 of these kind of horror experiences. They're very psychological horror type of games. So if you're looking for a horror game that doesn't rely on jump scares, I found a new one. It's this one. And this one does things that are really, really special and really just simple. And that's what makes this game so amazing. It's not about the length itself. It's not about how much it costs. And by the way, if you want to know how much it costs about $3. And right now I'm going to tell you it's 100% worth that. For 45 minutes experience, it's something that's going to truly stick with you after you finished it. But the genius of this game is how it tries to scare you in the most simplest of fashions. I think we've got so used to jump scares being obviously a very overblown thing in horror games, and maybe walking around with a flashlight and that's the only thing you have, and maybe it's running out of battery or something like an Outlast or something. We're so used to these kind of games that when a game like this comes around and tries to do something very, very different, but the way they do it differently is something that you just don't expect them to do. In fact, Anatomy doesn't do a great job of trying to make you jump out of your seat. Instead, it wants you to never play this game ever again. It wants you to feel this reoccurring dread every time you boot this game up. And the one thing I will say is that you play this game multiple times. One of the most exciting genres that I absolutely love, despite me being an absolute wimp when it comes to horror games. I love games like this that are experimentational horror. They try to do something completely out of the ordinary, or even do something that you just don't expect in a horror game, yet it still scares you. And that's the interesting thing about this game. It doesn't do anything really new, but it just puts you in very uncomfortable situations. But the genius of this game is how it makes you feel. And 9 times out of 10 in this game, you end up scaring yourself more than the game scares you. You start to think about things that may happen, or maybe behind this door, or what happens if I go down this hallway. But this is all down to you and your mind, and the way the game tricks you into thinking you know what's coming, when in actual fact, you really have no idea. This is going to be a really, really short review because it is a very short game and I don't want to give too much away. But Anatomy really has struck a chord with me, and I love these types of horror games. This is what horror should be going forward. Not the old rinse and repeat that we're used to, a lot of horror games that just try the old tropes of horror games that we're so used to. Get the quick jump scares or quick monster chasing you down a corridor and you can't escape and you can only go backwards. We're so used to this in video games and horror games, and I think this is why the horror genre has kind of died down, especially in the last 10 years or so. I don't think that major horror titles have actually been that good, aside from a couple. But I think games like this are where horror should be. I think this is a fascinating, fascinating game that really doesn't try too hard to be fascinating. And that's the most fascinating thing about it, is that it's not trying too hard. It just knows how to make the player uneasy and uncomfortable. And a lot of times playing this game, I felt like turning it off because it just made me feel uneasy. But I kept playing it because I knew this was something that was really, really good. I know it's a really short game. 45 minutes doesn't sound like it's worth your time, but trust me, I think you'll be blown away by how it tries to scare you. I think that's worth the price of admission itself. It's a really fascinating experiment. I think the last horror game that blew me away like this was Stories Untold, and that tried to do something different in the horror genre as well, and I absolutely love that game, and I feel exactly the same way with this game. It is truly, truly one of the most scariest games, or at least experimentational games that really stuck with me that I've played in many, many years. The rating I'm going to give this game is really down to the idea behind this game, the idea of what kind of horror that this game tries to give to the player. And that's what I'm going to base this review on, or review score at the very least. I know it's a short game, and reviewing a short game doesn't seem right maybe for some people, but I'm rating the actual idea behind the game, the thing that makes you uncomfortable throughout this game. So I'm going to give Anatomy a 9 out of 10. I know a large majority of people may say that I shouldn't review this game because it's kind of like a demo, because it's like 45 minutes long. But if that 45 minutes was well spent, I'm definitely going to review it and feel like I should at least tell you guys about this game. And that's how I feel about this game. I think Anatomy is... it doesn't have to be a fully fledged game for me. The time is not really important. As long as I enjoyed the product that I played in that time, I really don't have any kind of reservations on time or price even. Like, as long as I enjoyed my time with it, that's the main thing I look at. But I completely understand if people think 45 minutes, that doesn't sound like a long time to play a video game. But you know, some people really like short games. I love short games. I love finishing games in a day. That's just me. And this is a very, very good one to actually pick up and finish in under an hour or so. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this review. If you do want to see more reviews and other content, please subscribe to Hi, My Name is Dan, and I will be back with another review very, very shortly. I'll see you next time.